Hey guys, it's Escape the Matrix here, and today we're talking about the multiverse. Does the multiverse exist? What is the multiverse? So, if you're unaware of the concept, multiverse is the idea of having multiple realities all existing at once. A basically infinite number of possible realities that could all exist. And I thought this would be best described by a diagram. So, per se, we live in this timeline that we've been living right now. So this is where we are, and it's 2023, and now we have to make a decision. Do we want to take this job that we've been offered, or do we want to take no job, say no to the decision? And the idea of a multiverse is that these two separate realities would exist simultaneously, and basically the split happens whenever there is a choice to be made where the reality would be different based on what choice is made or what is rolled on a dice, you know. So the idea of that kind of goes into a concept known as the Mandela effect. So what happens when the Mandela effect occurs? The theory is that you're here and this timeline's here, but then another decision is made where the timelines converge. Okay, so aka the past has two different timelines. You can have different past timelines all converge into a concurrent timeline that branches out. Now, this concept's interesting because it kind of suggests that the world that we live in is a single player type world, that everyone that is conscious is traveling their own timeline and branching out into many different possible lines that they make choices to go into. Now, there's the show Low Key, which adds an interesting concept to it, and that is the one true timeline. Now, do you believe that maybe there is a possibility of many timelines existing, but maybe there is one true timeline that exists based on the decisions we make? Okay? Say, this was a possible timeline if you had said no, but this is the actual only timeline that exists, and anyone who exists in this world is brought with you on this timeline based on the decisions that you make. So that is an interesting concept, and I want to believe that the timeline that we live in is based on a true timeline. That way, people are all here together and not all kind of going their own directions in the many infinite possible timelines there would be. Now, this is further confirmed by a experiment known as the double slit experiment. This experiment shows that light and matter can both act as waves. Now, waves are a kind of probabilistic type function, especially when it comes to electrons in the quantum mechanics. There's a certain probability that an electron will be present at a specific location. Now, something interesting that happened when they conducted this double slit experiment is, yes, the light acts as a wave, but when you actually try to measure which slit the photon comes out of, like when you throw an individual photon of light at the slit, it would still show a wave, right? Unless you measure which slit that photon comes out. Now you can think of it, that's very strange, right? You're throwing a single photon of light, yet it still shows wave type pattern. That is because unless you collapse the probability field by measuring or making a decision, then all the probabilities still exist. So that's kind of a hard concept, but here's another visual of that experiment and very futuristic design there. So this all can go into this other idea that you may or may not have heard of, and that is the new earth, or potentially the biblical term, the rapture. And this is the idea that the world that we're living in is going to come to a certain point of time where the reality splits. Okay, we may be living in one true timeline right now, but maybe in the future, if this rapture or this new earth forms, there will be two separate timelines that are equally existing but have totally separate worlds that exist in them. So, if you've not heard of the new earth, the idea is that this place will be full of the enlightened and the beings that have spiritually begun to raise their frequency, and therefore have kind of created this world, manifested it into being with their own energy. So it's an interesting concept, and I believe that the probability field is collapsed whenever you make a decision, and by the thoughts that you make in your head. So that's why there's an infinite number of possible realities that you can branch out into in this one true timeline, if you can navigate the choices to be made in your head, and to follow a belief set that will allow you to navigate the multiverse. And that tool set is around the law of attraction, the law of assumption. So very much need to study up on those concepts if you want to navigate the multiverse to be able to achieve any reality that you desire. So hopefully this kind of allows you to get an idea